Hello everyone, and I want to start out by saying thanks for watching this video. A little bit different type of video this week. I will be going in for surgery tomorrow morning, so I won't be bowling for a few weeks. I know I've been posting some practice videos of me practicing. You won't have any of those for a couple of weeks. So I thought I'd do a video on ball layouts, how to determine the layout of an already drilled ball. First thing you're going to need is something like a grease pencil here. I bought this at the hardware store, a couple bucks. And I ordered a Prosect, about $90 delivered to my door. If you don't want to spend the money on that, what I did before this was I went online and found a protractor and printed it out and cut it out. And I threw it away now, but it looks like a half a circle when it's done. And you can lay it, like for example, you lay the paper protractor on here with your zero mark right here on your, in this example here, right on your pin with your 90, I think it was 90 would be out here, and then you check and see where this line would line up on that piece of paper. It'll give you a ballpark idea. It's something I certainly wouldn't use it for drilling people's balls, laying out people's balls for them. But if you just want to get a rough idea of how yours are without spending 90 bucks on one of these, it's an optional, viable option to do. So this ball here is a Brunswick King's pin, or King pin. It's an asymmetrical ball, solid. It's about a 4-year-old ball. I haven't used it for a while. Ironically, because I'm going in for surgery, I left all my equipment down at the center. These just happen to be the only two balls that I had here at my house. Radical Squatch, which is a symmetrical ball, and the Brunswick Kingpin, which is an asim, so that worked out good. So first thing you're going to want to do, try to do this so, and I don't even have a ball cup, I'm using a roll of masking tape. My ball cup is in my bag down at the center. So the first thing you're going to want to do, get your center of grip. So lay this out, drill your center line of your grip. You're going to want to extend it down past the thumb hole. That's the first line you want to draw. And the second one, this is where it varies depending on whether it's symmetrical or asymmetrical. On an asim ball, you're going to want to line it up with your pin, center line of your pin, with the center line of your mass bias. Ignore the center of gravity. That means nothing when you're laying out an asim ball. So you draw this line down through, and you want to extend the lines further than what you need to, past the mass bias, past your thumb hole, etc. Next line you're going to want to draw, you're going to want to find your grip center line. For me, it's about 4 1/4 inch grip. So I know roughly 2 1/8 from my finger holes and 2 1/8 from my thumb hole. And I put a little mark right here at the 0. Now that I've done that, I'm going to, this is where I said extending this down, because when I put this here, I want to line up this bridge with this line. So I'm ignoring this line for now. You drew it, ignore it for now. That's your pin to CG line. So now I want to line up this mark up here with my grip center line and line up the bridge on the back side with that line that I extended down past the thumb hole. This line I want to draw at least, my axis point is 5 1/8 over, so I want to draw it at least 5 1/8 over. So you just draw it the whole way down, then you'll see I came down while I'm here, I marked it. While I'm here, I marked it at 5 1/8. Then I come over here, lay it here, again using this bridge to line it up back here. Draw your line, extend it further than you need to. My axis point's 1 inch up, but I want to extend it further. So there's my axis point right there. So I put a little mark there. My next line, I'm going to draw a line from my pin to my axis point. So I draw that line, and I extend it a little further than I need to. And now while I'm on here, I'm going to find my pin to pap. So I center that up, and I look here, try to stay out of the way of the camera. And I'm about 3 7/8 roughly. So I know my pin to pap is 3 7/8. Next thing I'm going to want to do, take your 0 here, lay it on your pin, down through, this is where you're going to use your mass bias line. Lay it down through here. I'll adjust it when I get it turned around to where I can see better, but you want to make sure you're lined up on the bridge, lined up on that white line, or yellow line, whichever color pencil you're using. So now, let me turn it this way so you can see it. I guess I had it right the first time. I could have left it there. So I got that in the center of the pin. I have them on my bridge is on my line. Come over here, and you can see my pin to pap line is about 60 degrees. Maybe just a hair over 60, but we're going to call it 60 degrees. So my pin to pap is 60. That's my drilling angle. Next thing I'm going to do, so 60, we already got the 3 7/8, so it's 60 by 3 7/8. Now the next thing you're going to do, when I measured that, I had my prosec this way. Now I'm going to turn my prosec this direction. Put my 0 from here right on my access point. Make sure my bridge is right on that line, and I check my valve angle. When I drew this line here, perpendicular to my grip center line, that's my valve angle. I don't remember what valve even stands for. Vertical axis line, that's it. So again, I put that on there. Make sure my bridge is lined up, and I have about 35 degrees on my valve angle. You can also do it this way. Line it up with the valve angle. If you drew your line down far enough this way, line up with your valve angle, and you can check your pin to pap there, and it's 35 again. So this ball, the layout on this ball is 60 by 3 7/8 by 35. So that's how you do an asym ball. So let's move this out of the way and grab the radical squatch, which is a symmetrical ball. Now the main difference when you're checking symmetrical ball versus asym, you have no mass bias. So now you're going to draw your line from the center of the pin down through the center of your CG, your center of gravity, which on radical is this letter R. So I draw that down all the way center of the pin down through the CG and extend it further. Next line is going to be my grip center line. So on this ball, just so there's no confusion, my grip center line just happens to go through the pin. The pin has nothing to do with this grip center line. The pin can be way over here. Doesn't matter. This grip center line is still going to go here. For now, ignore this pin that's even here. Just pretend it doesn't. That line doesn't have anything to do with that pin. So I get my grip center line, draw it, extend it down past your thumb hole. So now I have my grip center line. Everything else is the same as it was on the asym, except for drawing this line going through your CG. So now you're going to want to do this again to find the center line of your grip. I know mine's about 2 1/8 from each, from the finger hole and the thumb hole. Center that up. I'm going to put a little mark here. Now I'm going to lay the ball here. Try to get a good angle so you can see it. I'm going to make sure that my bridge back here is lined up with the extension of this line here, so I know that I'm perpendicular. And then I'm going to draw this line across through the center line of my grip, at least 5 1/8 down, because I know my axis point's 5 1/8. Now I'm going to measure over 5 1/8 and put a little tick mark there. So now I have my little tick mark here at 5 1/8. Now I'm going to line this up like this. Make sure my bridge is lined up here so I'm perpendicular. And now I'm going to draw this line, and you want to extend it further. I only need to go 1 inch, but I need to draw it further so I can use my bridge, line my bridge up with it. If you stop here, you have no line here to line your bridge up with. You can use your pin to pap line. We'll get to that in a second. But now that once you draw that line, you want to put your mark at 1 inch up, because my pap is 5 1/8 by 1. So I put my mark at 1 inch up, which puts that right here. So now, the next thing I want to do is draw a line from my pin through that access point. Draw that line. Now, since I'm already there, I'm going to measure that. So now I'm going to put this right on here. Try to make sure my head's out of the way. Put my 0 mark right in the center of the pin. Line up on that line I just drew. And I'm going to measure that. On this particular ball, it's, what is it, 4 3/4. So there you go, 4 3/4 for my pin to pap. So now I know my pin to pap line, or measurement. Next thing I'm going to do is take this 0, turn the prosec this direction, line this 0 up right on the dead center of that pin, line the bridge up back here, so we got that lined up, and then use your degree mark over here, and I find that my pin to pap line is 60 degrees. So my drilling angle is 60 on this ball. So now I know I have 60 by 4 3/4. Now I had to prosec this direction. Now I'm going to turn it this direction. And I'll turn the ball a little bit so you have a little bit easier time reading this. I'm going to line this 0 up dead on with my access point. And this is where I said you can do it either way. I have that on my access point. I can put my bridge on the pin to pap line, turn it this way, and use my valve line to check my angle, which is 30, or I can use this way, put the bridge on my valve line, and check it over here at 30, 28, 30. Either way, it doesn't matter. All you're doing is checking the angle between this line and this line, so it doesn't really matter which line. If you do it this way or you do it that way, the number's still going to be the same. So on this ball, we're 60 by 4 3/4 by 30. Now, I'm not going to get into too much about what the layouts do, what these numbers do. I'm not an expert in that area. I'm not even really an expert in just drawing these, but anybody can draw lines on a ball. But what I do know is your drilling angle will determine how far down the lane the ball goes before it starts to hook. And your valve angle will determine how hard the ball hooks once it hits that friction. So the first number is how far it goes before it sees the friction or reacts to the friction, and this is how hard it reacts off of the friction. So you can talk to your PSO. You know, as far as layout suggestions, I can't give that. I'm not an expert in that area. This is just an amateur, just somebody that wanted to be a numbers nerd, buy their own prosec, figure it out. So I ordered an idle Helios. It's supposed to be here at the end of this week. It will not be drilled. So if I'm feeling well enough later this week, I'll do some videos on an undrilled ball, on how to lay it out and draw it out, and then you can get an idea. One thing that is important to mention is this same layout on this same ball with somebody that might have a 4-inch by minus 1/2 inch access point is going to be completely different. These finger holes may be here, they may be here, I don't know. So you can't look at another bowler and say, I love the way that ball reacts for them. I love how, when it starts to hook, how hard it starts to hook. And I know their pin is right above their ring finger. So you go buy a ball, tell them you want the pin right above the ring finger, and now you find out your ball doesn't do anything close to what his does. Well, that could be because your access point is completely different. So pin up on one ball doesn't mean the same thing as pin up on another ball. Or not another ball, but pin up for one bowler doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for pin up on another bowler. So you need to know your access point to be able to determine that. So talk to your PSO. They know a lot more than I do. They'll be able to help you. This is just for somebody that maybe has a bunch of bowling balls, has no idea what their layouts are, and wants to play around and figure it out. So that's about all I have. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later. Bye.